something that it's hard to actually believe that she isn't. And so, let's believe that she is, and let's really keep that alive. I'm very looking forward to hearing stories of her in her own journey through different voices. I hope each of you remember, but also lean into this to remember all that she was able to influence us in our individual capacities, but also institutionally. Ratna from Dust for Social Impact agreed to kind of be the voice for that cohort. But I also want to thank other partnerships that have recognized Prema, partnered with her over the years, that were willing to come to this memorial. So thank you for that. We thought we would kick this off in a way to remember her through the groups she's been with, the awards she was awarded with and recognized for. And so, Gagan, if you can just kick off this memorial with the little collage that I know the team has put together, the SSP team as well as Dasra.
Hello.
Ratna, if you're there, please go ahead. I see you there, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Ratna.
Hi. Yes. Oh, this is very hard. This is really so hard. It's still so unbelievable. And I think we need to draw energy from Prema's work as well as from Prema as a person, as a civil society leader, and as a foodie with a twinkling sense of humor, as a person with an engaging charm that made you wait for her next quotable quote. We all remember her amazing perceptiveness at the Dasra cohort. She could summarize a convoluted discussion with a casual one liner so sharp that everyone had to acknowledge it. I got an opportunity to observe the vast scope of her work during my visits to SSP's field areas in Marathwada from 2019 onwards, while working on drafting SSP's program strategy. At that point of time, she was carefully reshaping the organization to go deeper into the processes of women farmers transforming as community leaders. Her dream of women farmers as decision makers and women led solutions to address global challenges are both forging ahead, I think. And I'm sure Naseem, Suranjana, and others would speak more about this today. And we also saw the Prema Gopalan masterclass on agile leadership, strategic thinking, and mobilization during the early days of the COVID disaster. How, through a consultative process, she enabled a forward looking economic, climate resilient narrative with a broader framework of social protection and created an opportunity to extend women farmers' active engagement with governance systems. As a drafter of some of these frameworks, documents, and tools, my own learnings from her and the SSP team were huge on operationalizing steps for women to navigate powerful state machinery at local level, and more gently, shifting your own comfort zones to create more spaces for women in organizational systems. She said many of the learnings about women's leadership are counterintuitive. So she invested heavily in ensuring that they have platforms to learn and expand their peer networks, supported by thoughtful institutional processes like SSP's WILL, that is, Women's Initiative to Learn and Lead, while working on projects on agriculture or entrepreneurship or on clean energy. Prema did not need to speak upfront on how to navigate patriarchal systems in our operating environment, which degender women leaders, as it was something that did not, overwhelm her at any point, even while she planned to, take up new ways of working in the organization. As a pragmatic visionary, she recognized the challenges of the complicated road ahead. It's been my privilege to be a part of the journey of Prema, Naseem, Dev Kanya, Godavari, Leela, and thousands many more women converting their challenges into opportunities together. My homage to Prema and best wishes to the SSP team and its network committed to move forward ahead in this inspiring journey together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ratna. May I request Shashi, if she's, I think she is on the on in the meeting. May I request Shashi if you could go next? I know you had some thoughts to share.
I don't know if you can hear me, but
We can.
it says that we can't start your video because your host has stopped it.
Okay, Sagar, can you help with this, please? Meanwhile, Shashi, please go ahead. I'll check at the back.
Yeah. Okay, I think now it's been corrected. Yeah, so I really don't know. I mean, it's still, the hurt is extremely raw. I can't believe that she's just gone. So yeah, so just pardon me if I. I'm a little unclear sometimes. But yeah, as a sister, our relationship is a very different one from as sisters, very different from what Prema had with all of you. It was, as kids, I, as the younger one, would always follow her, much to her irritation, all over the place. I even um, copied the way she stood, sort of one leg out at an angle, the way she sat. And I was constantly, I would like, I wouldn't, I'd say a thorn in her side because she had this young sister following her everywhere. And yeah, that slowly graduated to having pitched battles when we were teenagers, but then that again segued quite seamlessly, I would think, not quite seamlessly, but yeah, into a very deep kind of friendship. The love has always been there, but a very deep kind of friendship where we had our bones of contention, but she always thought of our house here, my house, my husband Roop, and our son Ishan, as a place which was her happy place, a getaway. So we live in Bangalore, and she used to come to Bangalore quite often. And she only, I mean, work never left her behind. When she came here also, she was constantly on the run, meeting people, everything. But with us, it was always, my husband was her snack buddy, and she would come with bag loads of snacks, which she knew he would like. And she would come for stuff for me, stuff for her nephew, who was, very dear to her, and vice versa. So, it's like a loss which even now is very unbearable, very unbelievable. I don't, somewhere I keep thinking that I'll get a call and she'll come back. She's probably just on one of her foreign trips where she worked very hard, but also made so many friends who are so, so dear to her, I mean, and it was just, I just think, I'm sorry. I'm done. I can't speak anymore. I think, just need to think of her and think of, the memorial at Latur where all the women poured out their passion. And I would say it was not just emotion, but devotion. And so many of them said that, yes, they have mothers who gave birth to them, but Prema was their actual mother who held them by their hand, taught them how to walk, moved them out of a situation which was unbearable for them into a situation in which they have agency. They're the mainstays of their family. And yeah, so I think, just I'd like to think that in her 66 years, she has lived a life that most of us would aspire to if we live to be 100 or beyond. May she rest in peace. May she be happy wherever she is right now and looking down on us and telling us to not make such a fuss about everything and just get on with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you. I'll request Vinod if you can come in and share a few words. Thanks, Vinod.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Vinod Menon, and I'm based in Pune. And we have been co-travelers in, in a journey which has really been extremely memorable. for more than 3 decades. Actually, I think from the time of the Maharashtra earthquake in 1993, we were together in several committees, and we participated in several events together. And I feel that Prema's contribution to the process of engendering humanitarian action has been extremely impressive. When I mention engendering humanitarian action, it is to basically project the role of women, in a very different way. And she created a narrative which is actually very different from the conventional, approaches where women were treated as, vulnerable. And we used to have many policy documents which used to say that, vulnerable people, women, children, and physically challenged people from minorities and scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, Dalits, and so on, and then women, and it was actually seen as a vulnerable section by many policy documents, by the Planning Commission, by many other, institutions of the government. But in the National Disaster Management Authority, when we started talking about the role of women and the role of communities in creating solutions, we were arguing primarily because of the forceful effect of some of the narratives, from people like Prema, that, women have to be seen as change agents, as people who can actually provide a transformational leadership. And that we have seen in many disasters in the past. And Prema's work in the Latur earthquake has been primarily to also give strength to women and give a role and shape to their participation by women masons, and then taking some of these women in exchange programs with the people who were affected by earthquakes, mega earthquakes in places like Turkey, or in Philippines, or in Indonesia. There have been several programs where she actually made the women from Maharashtra go and participate and and share their experiences. She has always stayed in the background, but she has projected the work of her Sakhis, and I think that her contribution will be remembered in terms of the effect which it has had, both in terms of women farmers, her projection of this 1 acre model, and very many other initiatives, which actually projected women as change agents and transformational leaders. And this has actually impacted, the work of the Vairo Commission. Suranjana used to say that, all the Indians who were introduced to the Vairo Commission, and, people like Sandy, Maite, Shengul, and Violet, and many others, have actually been through Prema. And we've all actually benefited a lot from that. Thank you very much. And we will continue to derive the inspiration and support and encouragement. She went very, very soon. But at the same time, I think she has left a message that all of us need to take our lives very seriously and work towards, investing in people's health. And that is one of the lessons which I think SSP is also taking forward, that women's health is important, and we need to also invest in our own health. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinod. We also have Sandy in the room, who is a close friend to Prema. Sandy, if we can have you share a few words.
Sure. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandy Shilen, and I'm speaking to you from Brooklyn, New York. It's morning here in Brooklyn, New York. And like Shashi, it's quite hard to speak about Prema, because in the past, I don't want her to be in the past. I've been a friend to Prema since 1989, when she first came through New York on her way back from a housing conference in Mexico City with a close friend of mine. And we became very quick friends because we shared a common sense of humor, a great love of wonderful, vibrant cities and special places with nature and with people and with great music and with a chance to just take in and breathe the life of cities and places. And Prema had a great inner eye, and her inner eye allowed her to paint. It allowed her to see possibilities in community development that others didn't see, and to stand by and with grassroots women to help their hopes and their aspirations come true. And I think what's very important to me to appreciate about Prema is all the ways she concretely changed how grassroots women are seen as essential key contributors and leaders and drivers of resilience and of social change that's intended to make a better life for many people, not just for women, but for communities, for family members who are men, and to change relations and dynamics between grassroots women and government officials. So she found a way to find opportunities in disaster response and recovery. She remade social entrepreneurism to be a bottom-up reality where grassroots women could see themselves as effective farmers, as effective merchants and marketers. She saw things that other people didn't see, and she headed towards them. And Prema was always great fun, and she was always kind and open and curious. And no one loved eating new foods more than Prema. She would be in your food quite often, the pros and cons of that. And I think today, when we look at how many people she's mentored and exactly what Shashi said about what grassroots women leaders in Maharashtra feel they miss because she isn't anymore. In paying tribute to her, we need to ask ourselves the question, what would she want us to do? And I think not now when things are so close and we're grieving the loss, but I think it's incumbent on us to think about a legacy for Prema that actually pays tribute to the career and the pathways that she's created that didn't exist before. And I think whether it would be small grants funds for grassroots women's groups in India, or it would be leadership stipends that are showcasing and encouraging innovation, I think we have an obligation to honor her beyond words. And I know at the YRO Commission, we're happy to help and contribute to a process like that. But I think that, and in closing, I think we shouldn't forget that Prema was an extreme caregiver the past 2 years of her life. And she successively, with Shashi, lost both of her parents and then her husband for decades. And she was a true committed woman from her family through to her organization and through to her global friendship network. And a person like Prema has to be remembered through ongoing legacy reminders. So thank you very much. And I'm so glad to be with other good friends of Prema's here on the call.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy. We have Naseem here with us who would also like to share a few words. Naseem. Hi, Naseem. Over to you.
Hi, Neera. Like to share about Prema, we have a lot of memories and lot of things to talk about Prema. But I will say, whenever she comes to field, she always value the women, and she trying to help women to realize their potential and reflect their dreams and take the action on that. Like always, I personally, when I met her, she's a boss. Then within 2 days, I realized no, she's not like a boss. She's a good friend, and like all kind of. Within 28 years, within Prema, I made my good friend, mother, and a boss, and a person who can show and guide us to how to take our journey towards ourselves and the community with whom we are working, with whom we are having the commitment. So whole within 28 years, I learned how to work with the women. We should not see women as a victim. We should see women as a equal partner or stakeholders in the development work. And every women and every community or vulnerable groups has their own ideas and solutions. So we have just identify and give them opportunity to work on their solutions. So that is the Prema, who is having one side, she is globally recognized, but other side, she is very much recognized and well accepted in communities as a Prema Tai, because Yori women knows her as a Prema Tai. She is trying to educate women personally. We are having hundreds of training curriculums or things, tools to help women to do that. But when she comes in directly to connect with the women, she's trying to teach them some other way, like the Swam Shikshan Prayog. She's trying to take them into the markets. She take them to the restaurants. She take them to just for the adventure, as well as she's trying to teach all the women how they can see the business ideas, how they can explore the opportunities in the market as an entrepreneurs. So and I remember like being Prema, she's more experienced and like extraordinary person in the sector. But whenever new person, startups or new comers come in the sector, she welcome them and she provide SSP as a platform to explore and demonstrate their ideas. So many people came into the SSP and they demonstrated their ideas, they tested their ideas, and they went back and they developed full-fledged organizations. So like we can't like there are many things to take from her life and her journey to whatever the path, as Sandy says, she created a path how to work with the government, how to collaborate with the different organizations, and how to value community and women for their social and economic well-being. So I think at SSP, we all together are stand for Prema's legacy, and we will take forward her legacy, and we will hope and see all her friends and organization support in our journey towards Prema's legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Naseem. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Neera.
We do have a few people who wanted to share. Makrand, you had raised your hand. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name incorrectly.
Namaste. I am Makaran Bhoot from New York. First of all, I wanted to say that, let's celebrate Prema's life. Today is Earth Day also. Thank you, Dasra, for organizing this timely tribute. Prema is actually, she's showering her love from above on all of us. And I go back with Prema a very, very long time, even before SSP, with Spark and NARC in the slums of Bombay. NARC, Brito, her husband, he was in this organization called National Addiction Research. So in through that, the street children of Bombay, Spark, which is a society for promotion of area resource centers. So with Sheila Patel, Celine, all the great women, and the slum network of women, which is now spread all across India, all across Africa. Rose. So basically, we had the earthquake in Latur, and we all kind of just went there. And this was unprecedented because those days we had no telephones, nothings. And this was the first time when all the world's developmental organizations came to this rural region. And, there were all kind of donor agencies, government agencies, corporations, like, Oil Corporation adopted a village and made an, Koila Nagar, and, all of that was happening. And today we have a situation that after billions of dollars, crores of rupees spent over several years, we have this region which is registering a lot of farmer suicides and drought, and all of that donor-driven development is failing. And all of these organizations left. Prema remained. She formed this, the UN organizations, the government organizations, the development agencies, non-governmental organization, charitable organization, faith-based organizations, everyone left. Prema remained, and she continued. And in Prema, like, we see, a sister, a mother to to many. She was a lot more to many. So it's kind of very quenching, because her parents passed away, her husband passed away recently. Still, like, what I would like to do is to celebrate Prema's life and remember her, because I actually had a very different kind of interaction with Prema. I always would tease her, recently, just like a few weeks or month ago, I was teasing her. Like the president of United States of America is Kamala Harris, but she's actually Kamala Harris Gopalan. So I was teasing Prema, and she was like very agitated. But that's the kind of relationship we had. And then what I think is this is critical. What Prema has demonstrated through her life to be resilient, to remain, so she remains with us today now, so that's what I wanted to say, to be there, to remain, and let's celebrate this lifetime of Prema in this development work. Happy Earth Day.
Thank you, Makan. Thank you so much. We do have Maite as well who wanted to share. Are you in the room? Yes, hi. Please go ahead.
Okay, Net. Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hello? Okay. Yeah, well, yes. I got this news for this special event for Prema last night, very late. This is very early in the morning in Guatemala. I'm here in Guatemala City. And of course, I said quickly now to be with all of Prema's friends and family, that yes, I wanted to share some words for Prema. And just saying that, well, Prema was so passionate for life, so passionate. And also her adventure spirit, something that I really understood when I was traveling or living with her in some ways, in some places, like for some time, working, but also sharing life with her. And I was remembering and saying that, and I was sharing with Sandy, especially the very next days when Prema passed, I was waking up with anguish in my inside of me. And I was saying, "Oh wow, Prema is not here anymore." It's like my first thought was about saying, "What are we gonna do without Prema here?" But then when I saw the photos of Prema's and all the grassroots leaders taking Prema's, after the funeral, and they went to the river and they were like doing this ceremony for her. Those pictures really were like relieving me and saying, well, Prema went back where she started. And Prema was in the middle of the grassroots women leaders that she was loving and they were loving her. And that was bringing some peace for my life, in those days. Like the very next days that we lost Prema. And then I was starting to remember, well, Prema came 3 times to Guatemala. I was saying that the first time that she came was with Suranjana and Sandy, and they came for starting a new vision for all of us in Latin America for resilience. We were not very familiar with that sense of development, but Prema and Suranjana and Sandy were working with us with 72 grassroots women in Antigua from Latin America. And really our minds and our thoughts were changing from that really moment. And then I was thinking, well, I met Prema around 2003, 2004, but we were not so familiar. I was respecting her since the very first moment because I said, well, she's a wise woman. She knows from everything, but she's very serious. In that at the beginning. But then when we were, interacting, and after 3 visits here that she came also, for 2008 for this event, but then she came for a very special event in Central America. She was a very special guest with Vinod that came to Guatemala for the commemoration of the 10 years of the mid-hurricane. They came here and they came to to support a lot of efforts. I think Suranjana came as well, and Sandy, of course. We were like a team working with Prema, and they were guiding, really. Vinod and Prema were guiding our national and regional authorities about creating the policy on disaster risk reduction for Central America. We were not able to have these kind of frameworks before Prema came, and she was, sharing her vision with all of the authorities here on disaster risk management and resilience. And then I was remembering that she came also to support us for some evaluation that we had with the World Bank in Guatemala. And she was raising her hand and saying, no, I'm going to be there to support the mission from the grassroots women leaders. And that's what I said, well, she was 3 times here in Guatemala. She was also in Panama with us. So meaning that, and I want to share something with you. I don't know if you can see this. Well, this is a painting that Prema did especially for me in New York. I saw when she was painting this beautiful window, and she was, dedicating this painting, when she said that she has a lot of inspiration in one place from Guatemala called Antigua. She was walking there, and she said that she took pictures, and she was trying to remember, by paintings, this special city for her. And then in New York, I saw when she started to draw, and then at the very end of one of our meetings there, she gave it to me as a gift. And I really said, well, this is like having some piece of the creation of Prema with me. And well, some other notes, like when we were visiting different, Sandy said, Prema liked very much the food world. And I said, yes, I completely shared that, because Prema was always traveling with her food. I was thinking, well, Prema, you are really taking care of, and you really love your food everywhere. When she was in New York, she was cooking her food and sharing with all of us Indian food. And then we were like having our special time in Brooklyn, visiting new coffee places. And in these new coffee places, and in these places like she liked, we had several and beautiful talks and conversations about our work, about our life. For example, we were like sharing so many times our curricula for the university, for the Graduate Women Leaders School. And she was sharing what visions we usually add. And then we were transferring our curricula to Prema. She was able to conduct with the Bihar University some of the interventions we were doing here. And I can say now co-designing. We were co-designing this special training program for graduate women leaders in the university level. I also have to say, for Latin America, Prema was and is, Prema is really definitely our guide and our leader in the Latin American resilience processes and thinking. And all of the time we are referring to Prema. Even when we were during the COVID times, Prema was so kind that sharing with us her thoughts about food systems. When we were starting new processes on food systems in Latin America, Prema was participating with us. And even during that time, I remember we had long conversations with Prema about lockdowns, about what were you doing, and about sharing our photos about agriculture we were doing in our homes during that time. And that was something that I remember with love, about having Prema in my life and having Prema in life of so many graduate women in Latin America. I have to say it, and I love to hear about all the work and efforts Prema was doing in India, but also in other regions like Africa, and other countries of Asia. But in Latin America, I have to say that we have one vision, Prema's vision, and Prema's thinking on what we are implementing, what we are doing. We always are in our meetings, remember Prema said this, remember Prema was teaching us about this. And it's true about from the cows She teaches us how to see creativity, how to be able to think different. In the middle of everyone thinking and speaking about disaster, we can do something very important, and we can remember Prema in that sense, because she was always looking what's the difference in different places. What grassroots women leaders were doing in the middle of those disasters. And I have to say that in the video I was sending before, it was so hard to take the video about Prema, no? But I was saying that we had a great responsibility on our shoulders now, because I said, we are not gonna be the same, Prema, after you pass from here. We need to be better persons, or better developers, because we have your legacy. And I think that's something that is gonna be, we are gonna be together. We are gonna be remaining together through Prema's thinking and through Prema's spirit and through Prema's work and through Prema's teachings and all we were learning from her, sharing with her. And well, I think this is gonna be something forever. So thank you very much. And I love to be here with Vinod, Sandy, Suranjana, Nasim. Thanks for all you were sharing about Prema as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have Suranjana who wanted to share as well.
You are on mute, Suranjana.
Hi everyone, I'm Suranjana, and I had the privilege of working for Prema for several years when SSP first started, and I then moved on to work for GROOTS and the Viral Commission, which is headed by Sandy. Many of the members are present here. And so I had a chance to see Prema and witness her leadership quite closely over a period of more than 25 years, I think now it is. And I've been asked to keep it very short, so I'm going to do my best to do that. First and foremost, I think Prema was really a great visionary. And the vision that she had for women driving their own institutions, and the way, when I was much younger and working for SSP, I didn't fully grasp her kind of leadership style because she was not very explicit. She was not very heavy-handed about her leadership. She would rather you sort of hung around and inferred and imbibed the messages that were being brought in front of you. So, this vision that she had, that women have to have their own institutions, they have to lead these institutions, they have to manage these institutions. This was something that came out very, very strongly in her work, and in a sense, and therefore my own understanding of this work has been grounded in many of the ideas that I was exposed to when I worked with Prema. And I think she was a very unique and extraordinary leader, because while she was certainly a thought leader, she was not someone who was into overthinking things. She would always, she put a lot of emphasis on operationalizing good ideas. So as creative as she was with her ideas, she was also very practical about trying to operationalize those ideas. And I think what was very inspiring was also that she was very entrepreneurial, and she was someone who I believe understood where innovation comes from, because she was a huge risk taker, and somehow it seemed that it was okay to fail. She didn't believe that, the outcome of your work has to be perfect. You have to do it, you have to test it, you have to learn for it, and you have to go through iterative processes of doing better. But she somehow never got stuck in this sort of planning and thinking process. And she was a very big doer and a huge risk taker. And as part of that, she also nurtured so many leaders, so many grassroots leaders whom she directly worked with every day, and so many leaders and so many of us who work all over the world, not only in India. I'm sure there are many people here who were inspired and by her work and her life and whose work she touched. And I think maybe I share a couple of things on the lighter side about Prema. She was a great cook always, and I traveled quite a bit with her. And whether it was by train to Osmanabad, Solapur or Osmanabad, or I also went with her to Guatemala as well. So yeah, finding the right cup of coffee was a very important thing for her. And she herself made very good South Indian filter coffee. And when I shared a room with her, she'd, by the time I woke up, she'd be all set already. And she also made some fantastic South Indian filter coffee for me, which was also a huge privilege. And then, of course, even though, I initially thought of her as my boss and later a mentor and a friend, and I could always pick up the phone and talk to her and say, Prema, what do you think of this? Should I, and, sometimes she'd give us sort of a monosyllabic, very cryptic sort of an answer. And sometimes she'd say, don't think, why do you get stuck on small things? Just move forward, just get this done. And recently during the COVID crisis, we had a lot of opportunities to collaborate. And I remember once around some fundraising, I looked at something and I said, oh, cut out this line, cancel this, don't write that, don't say that. And she said, I see that you're bossing over me a lot. So I said, yeah, actually, I'm really enjoying it. So please don't stop me from doing that. She said, I don't think you realize there's a long line of people waiting to boss over me. So we had a lot of good times also. And somehow, despite all the stress and all the work that Prema did, she made it seem like, I don't know, she wore her leadership lightly, and she kind of made it seem like fun, like it was part of her, everyday thing. It was literally, her leadership style was like, tapping you on the shoulder and saying, come on, just move forward now and stop fussing and getting stuck on small things. So I was also looking at one of her recent cryptic emails to me, which was, I asked her, how's it going with this foundation where you're fundraising? And she said, yes, it's like slow ... like slow food cooking ... CEO excellent. That's it. So she was certainly in many ways a woman of a few words, but in the end, her work speaks for itself. And I trust that all of us who are here today and believe that we are part of this legacy that Prema has left behind. I trust that we'll all continue this work and keep moving forward to realize her vision of grassroots women's leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Suranjana. Since in the interest of time, we've had so many people share their memories, and it was really, really heartening to hear your stories, your journey. We've had a lot of people join in since the beginning, and so if that is okay, if you all can wait for 2-3 more minutes, we will share a video with you again that we collated with all of Prema's memories, and then we can bring this to a close. Thank you once again. Would be really great to have you join us and till the end of the video. Thank you. Priya, can we start it?
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. And like Vinod very nicely put up, thank you for joining us to celebrate Prema's work and her life. She will remain in our hearts. It was a pleasure knowing us, and it was really a pleasure to also hear your stories about her. So thank you again for joining us. Have a good evening. Bye, everyone. Thank you.